Alex Flash Chop. Flash Chop can be used. So one of the best things that they gave Alex this patch is the ability to do Flash Chop from a very long distance now. So from a distance like this, for example, it'll hit. Or from here, it'll still hit. And since they gave it such a hell of a buff to the distance, you can link a heavy elbow into a light chop now, so it'll look something like this. So first off, it puts them in a distance where you can actually V-skill safely. Or if you wanted to, you could also just double dash afterwards. I don't recommend it, but it's an option. Or if you wanted to, you could always just dash forward once. And then start your pressure from here. Now let's talk about some very good options that you could go for after medium chop or light chop. So light chop leaves you a +2, and medium chop leaves you a +3. Some people will tell you that little extra plus frame doesn't mean anything, but let me tell you that it does matter if you're fighting a 3-frame character. So I set an Alex dummy to hit medium punch after a light flash chop, and look at that. Mika's 3-frame jab wins that interaction. What about a command throw? What if Alex does a command throw there? It should work, right? Nope. 3-frame beats it. But you know what doesn't beat it? Yep, you guessed it, that little extra plus frame made it so that if I press a 3-frame button, it loses. And just to prove the points further, let's just do a command throw, and nope, doesn't work. To sum it up, if you can do medium chop instead of light, always. Now the best options you can go for after light chop are just to go for a crouch jab into another one. This leaves you in a somewhat safe distance, maybe not against characters like Ibuki that have a really long reaching light normal, or Sakura. But for the most part, against most of the cast, this should work pretty nicely. Another option you could go for if you're close enough, you can actually go for stand medium punch. Or, optionally, if you feel like you're a little bit too far of a distance, you could optionally just go for crouch medium punch. You're +2 in that situation, so most of the time you're probably going to win the interaction. But the safest option you go for against a 3-frame character is just to go for the crouch jab. That's the safest. Or, if you really want to risk it, you could go for an EX command throw. Now let's talk about what you actually get off a medium chop. Well, everything that I said that you were unable to do against 3-framers doesn't matter because this works against everyone. So you can go for a stand medium punch, you could go for a crouch jab if you wanted to, you could go for a command throw, and if you really want to be super cheeky, you could go for a lariat. So if you really want to put them in an unblockable situation, just go for a forward throw. That's the best way to break their guard, and you could do something afterwards. But, out of all the options that I listed, I personally like going for a forward throw because I can pretty much do anything that I want here. I can do an elbow, I can also do a crouch medium punch, or I can just do a light chop if I wanted to. But you get the point. And because of the buff to the range, you could actually play neutral with these chops. It's essentially a mini fireball. And it goes further than crouch medium punch. So if you're not using them already, it would be pretty smart if you learned the ranges and incorporate them into your game plan. So now let's talk about heavy chop. Don't use heavy chop. Nah, that's a joke. There are some applications for it, but they only work off of counter hit or big buttons like lariat. So for example, the best case scenario that you get is you land a stand heavy punch and you're buffering a heavy chop into EX backfire. This will guarantee a guess situation afterwards and it lands you big boy damage. Another way, and the best way I think of getting it, is off of a lariat cancel. And this will lead into a 50-50 situation, but most often you'll get this situation in the corner. So I'm pretty sure you've been in a situation like this before. Now obviously you could go for crouch medium punch into a V-trigger or whatever, but let's assume you don't have V-trigger. If you don't have V-trigger, the best ways to get out of the corner is either, of course, jumping out, or you can do the next best thing and do a side switch combo, and also get a guess situation afterwards. It's a no-brainer. But do keep in mind that tossing out that lariat, and if it misses, well, you're probably dead. But that's the character. That's the character. You chose to play Alex. And now there's EX Chop. Well, there's a lot to say about the buffs that they gave this move, but the most notable that you probably just saw if you've been playing Alex for a while is that they made it a little bit more floaty. And this is important because now you get 2 double dashes for free, +6 on back roll, and it's also +2 on quick rise. So as you can see, it doesn't matter what they do, the situation is always in your favor. So from a situation like that, I could do something like 2 crouch jabs into a stand light kick, leaves me in perfect range right here to do a crouch medium punch, or do a chop. And this is super amazing because you can actually do 2 dashes into, let's say, a jab into a tick throw, 2 double dashes into a command throw, Or you could thank the Capcom gods because now they made EX Chop cancelable. That's right, they made it V-Trigger cancelable. And this really enhances your options because now you could do 6 stuff, like doing an EX Chop into Heavy Elbow and then Crouch Heavy Punch. And if I wanted to, I could do a V-Trigger cancel right there and switch sides, but obviously I'm close to the corner, so I'm not going to do it. But if I did go for the full cancel, it would look a little something like this. Boom, boom. And look at that, almost 400 damage off of a V-Trigger cancel. And a side switch. So if I'm in a corner situation and I were to just toss an EX Chop out, I get an easy access damage here, gets me out of the corner, and 340 damage just off of a simple. And if you try to tell me that that isn't one of the best things that Alex got on this patch, you are flat out wrong. Another nice neat little thing that you should know about EX Chop is that you can V-skill cancel afterwards. And this has always been a thing since I believe Season 3, but I see some Alex players really not taking advantage of this. It's one of the safest ways to actually activate V-skill without risking anything. But you do gotta take note that you are losing pressure in order to activate V-skill. So you should know if you really want to give up pressure in order to even have a V-skill stocked. Alternatively, if you have your opponent in the corner, you could just activate here and you're in a +8 situation. So from here, you're really not losing pressure and you're getting a safe V-skill activation. And the last little tidbit of information that I'll leave you with is that you can cancel any chop into a DDT or a choke if you wanted to. But do be careful when you're canceling into the chop because V-Trigger 2 and the buff to the chops ranges will make the choke miss sometimes. So if you're close to max range, just don't go for it. Or you can just avoid the situation altogether by just picking V-Trigger 1, but that's just me. But alternatively, if you have V-Trigger 2 here, well, it's not that good. So the best way to get a lot of damage on an easy side switch combo is just to pick V-Trigger 1. You'll have to find other ways to get your damage. And that's pretty much it for Alex's flash drops. If there's anything that I missed, which I might have, please let me know in the comments below, and I will for sure
Last chance to look at me, Hector.
Answer your questions as soon as I can if I see them. Do also let me know how you're feeling about Alex's flash chops this season, because I personally really like them a lot. I feel like they made his game plan a hell of a lot better than it used to be. But I don't know, maybe you might disagree with that. But with that being said, I will see you boys on the next one.
I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe. And I get more